Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this new figure unboxing and review we're going to be looking at the Transformers Reactivate game. This is their take on a Voyager class Starscream figure. So what we're going to do with this video, we're going to have a detailed look at him in both of his modes, help you decide how you want to display him. We'll have a look at the accessories that come with him and again how you can use them in each mode. Now because obviously he's a Starscream figure, we've got an abundance of Starscream figures from the movies, from the Generations toy line, right down to his obviously Generation 1 self, and some different sizes as well to give you an idea of exactly that, his size and scale in this new toy line. So as I start to pop all these away, I'd like to remind anybody who's not subscribed to the channel, if you'd like to hit that subscribe button for me now please, because it really will help me out. Right then, let's start off with some first impressions, and do you know what, they are really good. I'm very impressed with this guy. But before we look at the actual figure, let's look at the packaging because it is reflecting, and then I can just get it out of the way. So unfortunately at the moment they are only coming as 2 packs. Bumblebee's the other one, and I will be reviewing him in a separate video, but at the moment, yes, no individual figures. I do think that perhaps this might change when the game comes out, because obviously people will have more preference and I suppose more idea of the characters and the figures that they want. I think at the moment, because the game isn't out, I think, you know, that's the main reason. I don't know if it's right, but that's my thinking. This is obviously what we're taking to be in-game images of what he's going to look like. We can see it's 25 steps to do the transformation, and you've probably noticed I've uploaded a tutorial already. Right, onto the actual figure itself then, and to be honest, it's really good. It's obviously completely asymmetrical, right down obviously to the colors. It's not what I'd expect from a Starscream figure, or not what you would expect maybe if you've probably been collecting as long as I have from a Starscream figure. The fact that, number one, he's got blue eyes, which you don't ever, well, rarely see. I think there was a Transformers Prime figure which I remember having that had blue eyes, and as I say, the fact that he looks borderline like a sort of, I don't want to say like a zombie because that's too much. He looks like he's been sort of, it's more than battle damage, if you know what I mean. He looks like he's perhaps been rebuilt. I don't really know, but what I do like about the fact of this is there's pretty much no gaps, apart from, unfortunately, ever so slightly, just some smaller ones in the forearms, which of course you can tell which are where his fists are going to fold in. We've got some boosters on the back of the legs, on the back of this, and of course the thrusters in his chest. Cockpit looks good. Now, to my knowledge at the moment and looking at this, absolutely zero translucent plastic, and you do normally get that pretty much across all releases from deluxe and above, whereas with this there's none at all. The head sculpt though is great. It does look really good. Articulation on the head will go all the way around and indeed look up and down. The shoulder, I suppose, pads you can move as well. You can swing these all the way up. Of course they're restricted by the back of the wings, but I'm going to show you something with them in a second. You can take these out. You can't get the full T unless you pretty much disconnect the shoulder, which I actually did not want to do there, but you've got enough range of motion with that. You've got a swivel underneath the shoulder, bicep flexion, and we can already see, as I say, that there's no wrist swivel because it just folds into the forearm. There is a unbelievably unrestricted waist swivel, as you can see there. So even with the wings, and I'm not going to say kibble because it's not too, I mean it is kibble, but it's not really too bad on his back. You can see there once again a full unrestricted swing around there. Now the wings are quite interesting on the back because you can adjust these if you want, the smaller ones. You can adjust the larger ones. And indeed, you know, you can, if you want to ever so slightly, you could take the whole of this off, just disconnect it ever so slightly, and indeed move these up and down. So all of this you can move around to display however you please. The legs themselves, these will kick up way past 90 degrees, and they will swing again, even with this kibble, way back as well. Then you can, if you want to, you can bend the knee up. So I mean, look at that for a range of motion. Not that I could ever see you wanting to be able to do that in any posing, but I'm sure you would. You can if you want to, but you don't need to. You've then got the swivel at the top of the thigh, you've got a huge knee bend, and you've got your ankle tilt and rock as well. And of course, because he's Starscream, we've got some null rays, which again look great with the reflective sort of gunmetal grey plastic. That's all there is to say about first impressions. Hopefully you can tell that I think he's pretty good. Right, we're going to come back and have a look at him in his alternate mode. Okay, we're back, and he's in his alternate mode, which again looks pretty spectacular, to be fair. And again, you've obviously got the completely asymmetrical color scheme, which, as I said in the first part of the video, is just really working. I've just noticed that that's untapped, so I'm going to press it back in, like so. If I wanted to be negative before we go any further, it's the fact that there's no real landing gear, and I suppose that's literally about it. Everything else is absolutely fine, and as I say, it displays great. And I imagine that if you had, you know, one of them stands like the flex stands or something, this would look even better all raised up on top of one of them. But to be honest, as I say, it still looks good by itself. And I think because it's just so aesthetically different to what we're used to seeing with regards to Starscream figures, I think that's what makes this one so special. And again, it makes it more intriguing to see exactly what he's going to look like in the actual game. There, of course, he is with the null rays underneath, which of course doubled up as missiles, and this is quite big, to be honest. I know this isn't obviously a Starscream figure, but this is the Earthrise mold, so it's about as big as that. It's a little bit wider, but a little bit, only a fraction in height smaller, but again, the wingspan is that little bit bigger. So, and again, so what I mean, translucent plastic, there's none of that on this at all. And I don't think that there's anywhere, no, it doesn't look like it, that you can adjust or put these anywhere else. With the Earthrise mold, there's a few 5mm ports. On this, there doesn't look like that at all. He's definitely, again, a big Voyager compared to the Optimus Prime mold. Again, bigger in length, but obviously not as much going on at the front as there is in this one. With regards, I suppose, to some other figures, there's your deluxe drag strip, which we all know is quite a big figure, but of course this is way bigger. There's a normal, I suppose, size deluxe figure, and indeed, just because I've got one here, there's Masterpiece Trailbreaker. So again, nice and big. Alternate mode, and it's a little bit, the color scheme perhaps is a little bit more like the Bumblebee movie figure, which we'll have a look at again in robot mode. But for, as far as this goes, look at the detail here on the front, on the blasters there. Let's get rid of that reflecting. That's better, sorry about that. In fact, I'm just going to shift it. Let's shift it totally out of the way. Detail on the cockpit is good, detail on here is good. Decepticon logo there obviously looks great as well. Underneath, as I say, it is missing some landing gear, but otherwise, apart from that, it's a great figure. There we go. Again, not much more to say about this mode. We're going to come back for the final time in robot mode, and we're going to do loads of comparisons and see how he sizes up with the rest of the reactivate figure lot. I did just very quickly want to add this for those of you who know anything about the gear walk, which of course the original Valkyries could do. This actually can do it as well. So although it's not Jetfire, although it's not a Valkyrie, it is it a bonus mode? I wouldn't know what to call it. Maybe it's just a geek out thing, but yes, you can do that with this figure. Relatively easy. You can do it with just the legs if you wanted to, but obviously, as I've shown in this particular part of the video, you can put the arms out as well. And I suppose if you wanted to, you could just attach these to the side, and then that really will give you the appearance that obviously that his arms are out from underneath the rest of the jet. But there you go, just thought I'd add this in because it can do it. Right, now let's go back to the robot. Okay, then back for the final time with him in his robot mode, and all we can then do, of course, is just attach his blasters. Now if you wanted to, as you saw in the other part of the gear walk, you can put them in his fists, but let's be honest, no Starscream looks I don't even think he looks right with the guns in his hand, well, especially not one based on a G1 model. What we need is to be able to pop these on the side of the forearms, which we can, clip them into place like so. To be honest, let's just have a quick check on the packaging where they've got them. Yep, that's the same on the back of the forearm like that, which even said is a little bit strange because again, we're used to him being on the top of the shoulder, but obviously this guy cannot do that because there's no ports for them to go there. Again, he's highly posable, but I'm just not very good at it. So I'm just going to do a couple of little basic ones. You can turn the legs out, you can put that gun up, etc. You can pose this guy really well. It's only apparent now, obviously, that gap in the forearm, which I know that some people won't like, but I'm sure there will be some gap filling kits available for him very soon, as there seems to be with most other figures. Right, let's move this box out of the way and let's start to do some actual comparisons then. So there is his Studio Series 86 version, which is of course the same mold as the Earthrise, which was the Seeker jet that you just saw Skywarp. So you can already tell and see that this guy is a lot bigger than him. He's also a lot bigger than the Siege mold, to be honest. So these, I suppose, are some of your more recent versions of him in the Chug lineup, which of course is your classics, Henkei Universe and Generations. There you go, bigger, looks, I think, again, better, to be honest. Then if we go into some, I'm not going to say obscure ones, but we've got the movie, I didn't mean obscure, I meant, I suppose, slightly different ones. So we've got Bumblebee movie, we've got Fall of Cybertron. This is the Takara version, that's why it's got the different paint apps. And again, I love all of these figures, to be fair. I just think they tend to make a really good job with Starscreams, in all honesty. Right, what I'll do now is I'll move him out of the way, because I think this one is probably the most relevant, or more like him. There is a Generation 1 Starscream, and I'm probably going, wow, look how much bigger he is in the Generation 1. There is a core class version of him. What I'm going to try and do is get as many versions of him on here, not all of the versions I've got, but many different versions to give you an idea of his size without using any other figure. So that's a Takara World's Smallest Transformer. That is your core class, that is your G1, and of course that is your Bumblebee movie. So they're all pretty much official figures. If you don't collect any of these and you want an idea in size of how big he is, what I can do for you guys is New Age, which is this is going to be way bigger than all of these. Iron Factory. Where's Magic Square gone? There's Magic Square. He's gone over there. So again, towers completely way above these. And that's your third party legend scale. But I think what you're going to want to see is how he looks with a couple of your other reactivate figures. So this, of course, is Bumblebee. And I'm going to bring Soundwave in, and I'm going to save the Optimus for the Bumblebee video when I bring all four of them in. But there you go, that is the reactivate Starscream figure. I think he's very good. I like the look of this design. It'll be interesting to see, obviously, if they use the mold again, which I'm sure they will for the rest of the Seekers. But in the meantime, I'm liking this. You let me know what you think of him as well in the comments then, guys. Take care.